Doing my part.
Good morning, everybody. I'm going to call to order the DuPage County Public Works Committee for Tuesday, September 3rd, 2024. Can I get a roll call, please?
Chair Garcia.
Here.
Vice Chair Ozog.
Here.
Member Cahill.
Here.
Member Desart.
Here.
Member Galassi.
Here.
Member Zay.
I'll be expecting that. This
Great. We have a quorum. I don't have any really remarks today, other than I am so happy. I know I just heard that the sidewalk program or the sidewalk project is going ahead. And so if anybody has to take a look outside, I guess they've been torn up.
I've
So
seen sidewalks before.
this is exciting though.
It's going to be very disruptive for a couple months, but the ends will definitely be nice once we're all done with it.
We're just starting to get excited about it.
I know. Come on. Okay, is there any public comment today? No public comments. Okay, so with that, we move on. I make a motion to approve the minutes 24-2360 Public Works Committee meeting minutes of regular meeting of Tuesday, August 20th, 2024. Motion is second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I make a motion to approve the claims report of 24-2361 payment of
Second.
claims, Public Works and Facilities Management. We've got a motion a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to consent items. Can I do a lot of these together?
Yes.
Yes, right, I can combine. Can I, motion to combine and approve
Second.
7A through, can I do all of them? 7I?
You're on the consent agenda. You may
Great.
approve them by omnibus vote.
I'm gonna motion a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Great. So make a motion to approve 24-2362 FM Builders Chicago Corporation 5471, sir. This contract is decreasing in the amount of $62,023.97. Make a motion to approve 24-2363 Phillips Facility Management, Evaqua Water Technologies LLC. This contract is decreasing in the amount of $10,302.79 and closing due to the contract expiring. I make a motion to approve 24-2364 Facilities Management, Fox Valley Fire and Safety. This contract is decreasing in the amount of $75,879.31 and closing due to the contract expiring. I make a motion to approve 24-2365 Facilities Management, Granger Incorporated. This contract is decreasing in the amount of $42,094.70 and closing due to the contract expiring. Make a motion to approve 24-2366 Facilities Management, Royal Paint and Supply Company. This contract is decreasing the amount of $73,065.82 and closing due to the contract expiring. I make a motion to approve 24-2367 Facilities Management, Weatherproofing Technologies, Inc. This contract is decreasing the amount of $15,442.22 and closing due to the contract expiring. Make a motion to approve 24-2368 Public Works, Alpha Laval, Inc. This contract is decreasing in the amount of $80,000 and closing due to an incorrect vendor number on the purchase order. I make a motion to approve 24-2369 Public Works Standard Equipment Company. This contract is decreasing in the amount of $34,416.37 and closing due to the contract expiring. And I make a motion to approve 24-2370 Public Works Safeco North America, Inc. Extend contract to June 30th, 2025 due to manufacturing delays correlated to electrical components in the septic receiving center, receiving station, and no change in the contract total. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
There was no discussion, right? No, but okay, great. Okay. Moving on, joint purchasing agreement. I make a motion to approve PWP 2124 recommendation for the approval of contract purchase order to this one I want to say wrong. Institute Form Technologies to rehabilitate water and sewer lines in various
Second.
locations across DuPage County Public Works and County Complex for Public Works from the period of September 10th, 2024 to November 30th, 2024 for a total contract amount not to exceed $647,198. I've got a motion a second. Is there any discussion on this?
I'm just curious
Vice
about
Chair
the short duration. Is it supposed to be November 30th, 2024?
Yeah, so these two contracts, 8A and 8B, if you remember, these were the ones that we actually bid out with, we partnered with Omnia and we bid it out and we awarded them. So it took about 6-8 months, I think, to put them together, but the entire country is using them. So what you see there are very specific projects we're awarding. We will award additional ones in the future, but they are very specific
Okay.
projects, so the timeline is correct.
Okay.
Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Make a motion to approve PWP 002224 recommendation for the approval of contract purchase order to HOERR Corporation for rehabilitation of manholes through the sewer and water system in DuPage County for Public Works for the period of September 10th, 2024 to June 30th, 2025 for total contract amount not to
Second.
exceed $139,671. Got a motion to second. Is there any discussion on this? Any opposed? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Any opposed? Motion carries. We're done. Make a motion to approve the bid renewal of PWP 002324 recommendation for the approval of a contract to Paladine Inc. to deliver polymer for both the Woodridge, Green Valley, and Knollwood wastewater treatment facilities for Public Works for the period of November 1st, 2024 to October 31st, 2025, for a total contract amount not to exceed $350,000. Got a motion a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I make a motion to approve the contract increase of PWCO 000624 amendment to county contract 6635-0001 serve issued to Paladine Inc. to supply polymer for both the Woodridge, Green Valley, and
Second.
Knollwood wastewater treatment plants for Public Works for a change order to increase the contract in the amount of $90,000, taking the original contract amount of $248,811.76 and resulting in an amended contract amount not to exceed $338,811.76, an increase in 36.17%. The motion is second. Is there any discussion on this? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to our action item, I make a motion to approve FIR 015124, acceptance of the York
Second.
Township Drinking Water Expansion Project Grant Agreement. This is in the amount of $300,000, the required cost share of additional $75,000. We've got a motion, a second. Is there any discussion on this? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. That motion carries. Moving on to old business, Heritage Gallery update.
Do you want to pull the PowerPoint up?
Thank you.
Jeff, I'm gonna ask Jeff to come up and give a little bit of a update on it, but we have had our consultant in. Several of the board members have met with a consultant. We've had many meetings internally. We'll give you kind of a little bit of an update where we're at still. We have a long runway to get everything wrapped up, but Jeff, you want to give a quick update?
Like mentioned, this is the Heritage Gallery renovation update. We did have Taylor Studios on site a few weeks ago. That Monday, I met with them down in the space itself. We looked at the existing exhibits, where the electric comes in, took some dimensions, looked at the floor. I even took them out to the third floor to look at it from the top down. We saw some of the other exhibits in the 421 building, just to get a feel for kind of the flavor here. They returned Tuesday afternoon. Members Garcia, Dessart, and Childress were present for part of this workshop the Taylor Studios staff put on. Facility staff was there. We also had Michelle and Emily from the museum there to help us, since we have that kind of sister project going on with their gallery. They had a bunch of kind of fun prompts and exercises to kind of start from a very high level and kind of dial back in. We started out discussing budget, what's realistic for what we're looking for. We're kind of a Hall of Fame setup right now, so we discuss more general possible central themes. This is the county administration building. We have a lot of services here. We have county government. What makes sense for visitors that are already here for county business? What should they really take away from a space down there? And towards the end, we got into more gallery layouts, graphical standards, that sort of thing. We brought up what we had discussed in this committee in terms of like tables for visitors or staff to work at, a more usable space. Can you take a phone call down there, but can you also have access to this information? Can it be more usable? And then just as a note, the following day, Wednesday, I did join the museum in the morning when they kicked off their workshop for their enduring value space. And that went really well too then, for the park district. Next slide, Joe. We're still on schedule overall. The next big item is mid-September. In the next couple of weeks, they're gonna get back kind of their schematic design, general ideas and feedback from our meetings a few weeks ago. This will include an initial budget recap, layout suggestions. They gave me a little taste last week at our weekly meeting. Great things happen here is kind of the takeaway they had from our meeting. So we'll kind of see what sub themes, how they integrate kind of the other feedback we gave them. We'll have a good look at that. Following that, we'll take those initial sketches and ideas, sub themes, put together a public survey with Taylor Studios. I'll work with county communications to get the public involved and aware of that. That'd be a November timeline with a focus group at the end of that, where we would actually have an in-person led by Taylor Studios in this building to discuss sub themes, more details, that sort of thing. And then concept design is currently our final phase, which would be January. And at that time, we bring it back to committee here and discuss if we want to proceed to the design development phase, which right now is still just an option. But I thought it was a lot of fun a few weeks ago. If you have any questions, let me know, but so far we're on schedule. Yes.
Yeah, I just had a question. I had to leave partway through. Thank you. I had to leave partway through because we didn't want to break OMA with Michael Childress coming in.
Right.
Anyway, so my question is, I know we're still talking about themes or people to honor, but I was just wondering if they mentioned anything about, I know they saw the space, money, the budget.
Right.
What do they kind of early on think, or was money not discussed at all?
We did kind of discuss, we have an allocation for this from a surplus a couple of years ago and what's remaining in that, and that's about 100 grand remaining. They didn't bulk at that number. I think they've worked with smaller projects before. And
Right.
I'm guessing this initial look, might be more TV monitor based. It might be less.
Well, we have TV monitors downstairs that we can use, right? And
Right.
carpeting downstairs
Yeah.
and storage.
And we build a wall, we were talking about a wall, and that can be done in-house, so there's a lot of work we can do.
Right.
Exactly. I think we'll have the back and forth. I think they were surprised to hear that we can do so much in-house. We have our own electrician group, we have our maintenance staff that can also assist with builds. So I think that will be kind of a back and forth in terms of what do we need a third party to do? What can we assist with, that sort of thing.
Thank you, Jeff. I know we're so early in the process, but I just wondered if they gave a.
Sure.
I mean, I don't even know how much those big, huge flags or banners cost, you
Right.
know?
Yeah.
Anyway.
We
thank
should get a
you.
good idea in the next couple of weeks, I think.
Okay,
So.
thank you. Nick, were you gonna say?
Yeah, I was gonna say the one thing, obviously, with our ability to do in-house, that changes the game a lot for what we're doing. But I would recommend with the committees, if you guys agree, would be not necessarily limited to a particular amount, because we can always do it in phases. I would just assume design it the way it is. And if we can put in 2/3 of it and we have to wait for a little bit, I would assume do it right, because we're not gonna go back at it for years anyway. So, that's, you will give regular reports to this committee, we'll figure it out, but I wouldn't artificially limit what your budget is.
And one of the things I wanted to mention is that, one of the things that we've been talking about in our committee, which Michael's on as well, is the concept of, this thing was put down there around 1980. So it's been there for a long time, and most people don't even recognize those celebrities who are down there anymore. So I'm not sure how to put this into words, but we don't have a museum curator here on staff. So how are we, is there a plan to keep things fresh?
The
and
partnership with Historical Museum
Okay,
is going to help that. And one of our concepts we want to try to do is create something that is kind of like a timeless type of display that can be updated easily, and that's a digital
by the
upgrade.
video.
Yes.
Gotcha.
So we are gonna, what we are doing is partnering so closely with the Historical Museum that we'll have that partnership.
Okay, thank you, Jeff, I'm done.
Okay, Member Cahill first?
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you for your presentation. I really like the idea of the public survey. So tell me how that's gonna work and who is that gonna go out to? And is it gonna be on the county website? Are you gonna reach out to emails? And who designs the questions on that?
Sure, so it's still gonna be fleshed out, but yeah, Taylor Studios is gonna assist, it's gonna take the lead in designing that survey. They've done this for other projects in the past, but I would work with county communications, make sure it hits the Facebook feed, Twitter feed, county websites. I think it'll probably be through Survey Monkey or something like that, kind of like I think our budget surveys through that previously. There'll be a similar process to that. We want the surveys back before we do the focus groups, so they'll be able to kind of respond to the surveys and direct the focus group that way as well, if that makes sense.
Okay, member say?
Yeah, thank you. You know, I'm just a little concerned you had this meeting and, you know, there has been myself, member Cahill, member Galasio, kind of have a different opinion of this, of the direction that we weren't included or at least had an opportunity to talk to that person. Again, I mean, we all want to do, I mean, I'm kind of concerned, you know, I do have a degree in history, you know, but, you know, what do we want? We want people to see this. We want people to know the history of DuPage. And I thought member Cahill had a great idea about a movable display that could go to libraries and city halls and other areas like that. Was that ever discussed during those meetings?
Not a movable display. It was the digital side of it was more like if we have some sort of slideshow, that slideshow could be shared between entities, that sort of thing. I think I will definitely add that input when we, the schematic, design response here. I think, you know, budget will be a factor too. I think static walls and monitors was kind of what they were thinking just in terms of numbers, but.
Jeff, let me ask you a question. If board members would like to meet or have some time with Taylor Studios, would that be possible to arrange that for whichever board members would be interested to, you know, whether it's Zoom, whether it's in person, whatever, is that something that if they're interested, we could absolutely set it up to make sure we're so early in the process right now. The more viewpoints, the more thoughts that we could add in, I think that would be advantageous.
Yeah, and the schematic design, which is the next deliverable, I mean, they do expect us to give any and all comments to that, so I can definitely distribute that to the committee and, you know, any and all feedback. I mean, they're welcome to it, and the
Yeah,
museum
to your
art,
point, members say, I mean, there was an OMA issued, so it's like, we were trying to fit who could come in and stuff, but we're always welcome to see whatever.
I mean, you could have one meeting at 9, one meeting at 9:30. I mean, you could do that. I mean,
It was a long meeting.
the only concern is that you're gonna come up with like one or two options that don't include another option that could be, you know, I don't have a problem spending money on this and promoting our diversity and DuPage and all that. I want people to see it. I mean, I want people to see it. Just if it's sitting here and we're spending a lot of money again, which, I mean, a lot of people, this is not like a destination where, you know, people come to pay the property tax, they come to do other stuff, but we want people to see it and, you know, see what the history is and let the kids know what the history of the county was and the diversity and how it expanded. And just having a display here and spend a lot of money, I don't think really reaches that, what we're kind of looking for.
That's valid point. I think member Evans is next.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think we're early in the process, but have we given any guidance on what space they can use? I mean, kind of to member Zay's point, I feel like that is a use of so much space in the county that could possibly even be used for a, you know, conference room. And, you know, we could put all the displays on the walls. There's so many displays.
We
on
did have
so much-
discussions on that.
Okay,
We
so-
did have some discussions on that, of having sitting areas and having places for the employees, as Jeff did discuss this thing. So there was a lot of discussion about making that a multi-use kind of a facility instead of just the walkthrough that it is right now.
And then was there any discussion about the demographics? There's nothing for children in this building. It would be nice if there was something that, if they're incorporating different age groups, you know, what might be appropriate, like seating areas for senior citizens who might have mobility issues, and children and, you know, just regular staff.
And I personally would like a couple quiet rooms in there. That's one of my things too, is for people who maybe have to have some kind of quiet time with the staff here and stuff. So that's something we're incorporating too. So yeah, we are talking about all those different ideas in this plan.
So I like Nick's idea that, you know, I think a lot of us would like to speak to the
Yeah,
consultants.
What I would recommend is Michelle can email out to all the committee members and the entire board. And if anybody would like to have a one-on-one with Taylor and Jeff, we could definitely do that. And we could just give your ideas, give your thoughts. I think that'd be beneficial, 15, 30 minutes, whatever you'd like. But Michelle, if you could email out the entire board, you know, work with Jeff for the messaging. And if you have some ideas that are different than what you've heard, I think it'd be great to do that.
Yeah.
Jeff, would that seem?
yeah, they're totally open to it. They said any and all feedback's welcome, and we do have a standing weekly right now with them, but obviously we can figure schedules to coordinate that.
I'd like to be CC'd on that, just so I can see what everybody's ideas are. That would be great. Thanks, Michelle. Okay, over here, Member Galaf.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think we talked about this the last time we were talking about the Heritage Gallery. And I don't remember exactly what the answer was, but I thought we were still waiting on, like data on how many visitors we actually have coming through here versus are going to the museum, and does it make sense to make the investment here, kind of to Member Zay's point?
So we did.
Can you remind me where we are with that data? Do we have it?
Yeah, security got us, we get about 400 visitors a week here at this building. Primarily citizens taking advantage of the clerk's office, treasurer, community services on the third floor, permits of building and zoning. So we did talk with Taylor Studios on, the current demographics are usually adult to senior level visitors, you know, not too many children except for community services where they do have to wait up there sometimes. We talked about how we do annually have the Scarce Fair where we have the high school students here who already tour kind of our sustainability spots, whether that, you know, adding something down there would make sense for that. But we did, and when we talked about the workspaces, the visitors and the table, I mean, people do just sit in front of the clerk's office for, you know, 20 minutes while they're waiting for their marriage certificate, birth certificate, that sort of thing. So we were trying to see, could we draw people down here where they're at least looking at these displays for 20 minutes, or how do we even get them past those doors, because they're just on the other side of the stairwell there, but.
Yeah, so I guess that's my concern or question is, does it make sense to make the investment here? If that's just not a lot of
Yeah, and I think,
times being,
right, and I think that's why we, in our discussions, I mean, we talked about the Hall of Fame that's set up right now, does that make sense? Or, you know, we have all these community services, we're always talking about county leadership, how the county is always the first one to implement something, and then other counties kind of hop on board, like, how do we show that the county government is such a fixture, and how do we, not advertise, but how do we make that more well-known? If you're here paying your taxes, don't you want to know what your taxes are going towards? You want to feel some ownership in
80% of schools.
the county. So,
Member Best.
I'm glad we're looking at all of this stuff. I do agree, though, getting people into the building, particularly kids. I know we went through an effort of having art contests that the schools were having, and then bringing that artwork to the building. And then, boy, you would be surprised how many people are like, I didn't even know this was here, and that type of thing. However, we didn't go into kind of statues or anything like that. It was a lot of stuff that was there was more, you know, displayed on a screen. We could say how much solar panels have saved in the electric cost for the building. And so initiatives that the county has taken that has improved or saved county taxpayers' money. So that, and
That
that
was
can
part of the
change real
discussion.
quickly.
That
like
was
that.
part of the discussion, is trying to
Okay,
show
good.
when the county has changed things and what the new things are, to bring them up on the screen. So that was actually in the discussion, so.
yeah, and I would guess one of the sub-themes would be kind of today's citizens. I mean, we did mention the high school artwork. Again,
We did,
it
yeah.
really lends itself to a slideshow. Like if we could somehow collect these images and project them and say, yeah, your art's gonna be on display at the county building, that'd be a way to get people in.
And that was one of the biggest discussion points we had, was if we put something static down there, like what we have down there, it gets old, it gets stale, and people don't do it. But if you have a digital type of media, it does. And I will tell you that it was surprising. I was in it for a portion of it, but not all of it. But the theme of pride in DuPage County, the pride in the history of DuPage County, really kind of came through it, which it's an interesting topic that can go a lot of different directions. So, I mean, there's some interesting, but I think if you guys have ideas, I definitely would like to get you in touch with Taylor and Jeff and Taylor Studios, and they can at least hear what the thoughts are as they're figuring out a direction to go.
As I mentioned, you know, the museum had their meeting the next day, and we did bring up how are we gonna tie these two, can we tie these two together? I mean, I think the museum's exhibit is, they already had kind of a recap meeting, follow-up, and they were really diving into some of the history of the people of DuPage and how they're gonna set up their exhibits. So I think with both these exhibits, I think we're gonna hit a lot of these bases. It's just a matter of where it exactly.
And Jeff, I just want to make sure, this committee, I mean, you guys will have several other looks at this before we go anywhere. I mean, the committee has to approve it before we go anywhere. So it will come back multiple times before we ever get to a point of breaking ground per se down there at all, right?
Yeah, and the process is set up, and we know with the community stakeholders who haven't even been involved yet, I mean, we don't expect to have a final design in 2 weeks, right? We do want the public feedback. We do want to be responsive to comments, and so I think, yeah, we are.
Thank you, Jeff. I know we have one more, a comment from Member Chaplin.
Just real quick, so you said about 400 people a week come through the building.
Right.
So how does that compare with the DuPage History Museum?
Offhand, it's more.
There's a lot
more-
more
it's
crowd.
more than historical
Yeah,
museum.
so this is a great place where people do come. And they come in here for free. And I don't know, I haven't been to a historic museum for a long time, I can't remember if it pays or not, but when you go to other municipal buildings or government buildings, a lot of times they do have their history displayed. I love, like, I come out here and I look at the plaques of the Spanish War and read the names and things like that, because I find it very interesting. And I think it's really nice that we have those displayed. Every war, you can see every person from DuPage that was in there, right? I mean, so like, I love history, and I think, having a small display here.
You're saying my name was on the plaque?
No, I didn't
for-
say your name on the plaque,
for the
but,
Spanish American War?
Right, that was the one thing that came out in the meeting was
You look
pride in
great, Jim.
DuPage County. Pride in really old DuPage County up all the way through. I
Yeah.
mean, pride in
And the history
DuPage
of
County
Right.
really came out in there, and it started to become kind of a central theme. But to your point, the plaques down there, if anybody doesn't know, it's really interesting because a lot of the older plaques, you will find people on there that names in DuPage County were named after people on those plaques. So it is very
It is very
interesting.
interesting. And then, to the point of, and having a digital display, I think that's great. And I'm glad that the committee is viewing it, and I think, everybody's opinions and thoughts should be taken into the discussion, but I do think we do get a lot of people here, and I think this might be the spot for it, because it just goes with the building. Like I said, when you go traveling, you see, and you go to other buildings, you see all the histories of all these, governments, and it's really a great thing, and it
And we
is
want to
pride
include the
of-
history, all the history of
So, yes, I
DuPage
think
County.
it's-
So, all right, great. Any other questions? Number 7.
DuPage County is rich in history from our Native, Native Americans to the Underground Railroad, to the first woman to vote in the state of Illinois from DuPage County. And if we want, to Member Zane's point, if we want a traveling exhibit, I think that's a great project. It would be great to take it to the county fair or to schools in the county or some of the festivals throughout the county. But I think this is something different. This is, as I see it, this is not a traveling exhibit. This particular piece is like, I don't know, redecorating your living room. You wouldn't take your redecorated living room around to show your friends. This is a permanent fixture here where 400 people come through. And I think to have more people see it, they would rely on us to send out press releases, invitations to schools. But this is a permanent fixture, not a traveling exhibit. But again, if you want a traveling exhibit, that could be a different project.
Okay, one more
And
question.
just really quick, and the clerk's office, the recorder's office, any office here could say, you know what, you have to wait 10 minutes here or whatever for your birth certificate. We have a beautiful display right here. If you want to go walk around, you can sit and wait and come back and we'll have your certificate when you're done. So it's a way, those departments, or even community services, if you have to wait for something, we have a beautiful display downstairs. If you want to go down and take a look at it while we're preparing your things, then you can come back. I mean, it's a great opportunity for those offices to engage with the town and then go in there while they're waiting too. Yeah.
Okay, thank you all for all of your input. I really appreciate it. And I'll be sending that to Michelle, and hopefully I'll get a copy of everybody's input, and then we'll go forward from here. Thank you, Jeff, so much for everything. I appreciate it. Okay, moving into new business really quickly here. If you haven't noticed, we have the new conference rooms that are open now where our offices used to be. Previously, there were 7 small individual offices only accessible to county board members. We reconfigured this space into 2 conference rooms, a board member office and a board staff office. Both conference rooms will be added to the facilities management room reservation system for 421 county staff to reserve seating up to 14 in one room and 12 in the other. Facilities management relocated a large conference table from other county board space, spare modular tables, and reused chairs that were in storage. I highly recommend that you go look at this space. It's really great. I know I've already seen it in use by our staff, so I want to thank Vice Chair Ozog, who's don't you do it.
I'm sorry.
Who I know brought this up when she was Chair of Public Works,
Along with former member Renahan.
along with former Chairman,
And Mr. Zay.
and Mr. Zay
resurrected
brought
the
everything he
idea, and
did, so-
appreciate it.
We need someone to get it pushed through. You guys just didn't have.
You know.
Okay, well, thank you all for your
Talking
help
about-
on that. I really appreciate that. But I actually, encourage all of you to go over there and take a look at it. And with that, without objection, we are adjourned. I don't